Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 4, entitled Hiranyakashipu Terrorizes the Universe. Text number 38, right? Asīnaha paryatan ashnan Shayanaha prapiban bruvan Nanusandhatta etani Govinda parirambhitaha Asīnaha paryatan ashnan Shayanaha prapiban ibruvan Nanusandhatta etani Govinda parirambhitaha Asīnaha paryatan ashnan Shayanaha prapiban bruvan Nanusandhatta etani Govinda parirambhitaha. Yes. Asīnaha paryatan ashnan prapiban Nanusandhatta etani Govinda parirambhitaha Asīnaha paryatan ashnan Shayanaha prapiban bruvan Nanusandhatta etani Govinda parirambhitaha. Asīnaha paryatan ashnan Shayanaha prapiban bruvan Nanusandhatta etani Govinda parirambhitaha. Matajis. Asīnaha paryatan ashnan Shayanaha prapiban bruvan Nanusandhatta etani Govinda parirambhitaha. Asīnaha paryatan ashnan Shayanaha prapiban bruvan Nanusandhatta etani Govinda parirambhitaha. Asīnaha, while sitting. Paryatan, while walking. Ashnan, while eating. Shayanaha, while lying down. Prapiban, while drinking. Bruvan, while talking. Na, not. Anusandhate, new. Etani, all these activities. Govinda, by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who enlivens the senses. Parirambhitaha, being embraced. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Prahlad Maharaj was always absorbed in thought of Krishna. Thus, being always embraced by the Lord, he did not know how his bodily necessities, such as sitting, walking, eating, lying down, drinking and talking, were being automatically performed. Purport. A small child, while being cared for by his mother, does not know how the needs of the body for eating, sleeping, lying down, passing water and evacuating are being fulfilled. He is simply satisfied to be on the lap of his mother. Similarly, Prahlad Maharaj was exactly like a small child, being cared for by Govinda. The necessary activities of his body were being performed without his knowledge. As a father and mother care for their child, Govinda cared for Prahlad Maharaj, who remained always absorbed in thoughts of Govinda. This is Krishna consciousness. Prahlad Maharaj is a vivid example of perfection on Krishna consciousness. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamahiyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroh Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunadhanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostuti Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. I'm very grateful to be amongst all of you in this beautiful congregation of ISKCON Melbourne. Very happy to see the beautiful forms of Gaurnitai, Radha Vallabhji and Jagannath Baldev Subhadra, and very happy to meet so many children. We have been interacting with them online and now on site. Last 4 days I was with them and again they are manifesting here. Even shlokas also they are only reciting, elders are hardly reciting. Very nice to see such a vibrant community of devotees here at Melbourne. Very happy and grateful to be with you. So today, with the blessings of all the senior Vaishnavas present here, I would like to speak a few words about the glories of Prahlad Maharaj based on this beautiful shloka from the 4th chapter of the 7th canto of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. As you know, in the previous few chapters we have seen Hiranyakashipu lost his brother, who is that? Hiranyaksha. So Hiranyaksha was killed by Varahadev and Hiranyakashipu felt so envious of Lord Vishnu and he wanted to kill Lord Vishnu. So he did tapasya to please Lord Brahma and he received so many boons from Brahma. And now he is terrorizing the universe with all his boons. Hiranyakashipu exhibited so much of sense control, self-control to receive those boons. And with the power of those very boons, he became a victim of his own uncontrolled senses. That's the irony here, right? So demoniac people undergo so much of austerity, so much of tapasya to receive some benedictions, some boons. But although they have exhibited great self-control, great determination, great concentration to receive the boons, by the strength of those very boons, they will become a victim of uncontrolled senses. The results of those boons will again plunge them into a whirlpool of sensual desires and demoniac qualities which they already have. So the determination that they exhibited to receive the boons was not with a pure intent. Yes, we can even take inspiration from the determination that these people show, in achieving their goals, but their intention is poor. Intention is poor, not pure. And intention is poor, and goal is also very impure, right? So because of that, although they attain the purpose of their austerities, they always become dissatisfied. Hiranyakashipu, as some of the verses in the previous chapters or maybe this chapter that reveal, Hiranyakashipu was always dissatisfied. He was never satisfied. He was not at all satisfied, although he has occupied the heavenly planets and he was sitting in very privileged positions, thrones, enjoying all kinds of facilities of the upper planets. Still, his eyes were intoxicated, he was always in a dissatisfied state of mind, right? Because any amount of sense gratification cannot satisfy the soul. Any amount of facility that is available for enjoying on a material plane cannot satisfy the soul. What satisfies the soul? Love for Krishna. And that satisfaction we can see in the case of Prahlad Maharaj, not in Hiranyakashipu. Prahlad, apparently at this moment, he is just a 5-year-old child. Now, he is not even, his birth is not yet mentioned. Basically, the qualities of Prahlad are being enumerated. His guru Narada Muni glorifies Prahlad as if he has 5 mouths. And the Supreme Lord Vishnu himself also glorifies Prahlad Maharaj, his own devotee, as if he has 5 mouths or 10 mouths, whatever. So Prahlad, although he is such a young devotee, he could completely please the hearts of his worshipable master Vishnu and also his worshipable guru Narada, that they are being eager to glorify this boy, this child. So to that degree, he was determined in just chanting Hare Krishna, in just worshipping the Supreme Lord, thinking of the Lord, that's all. Smaranam, always doing Krishna Smaranam, right? Always doing Govinda Smaranam. He's always perceiving Lord Govinda to be embracing him. Govinda Parirambhitam, as the shloka says, Govinda Parirambhitaha. He's being embraced by the Lord. So there's a great contrast between Prahlad's character and Hiranyakashipu's character. So the 7th canto of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam has this theme, Uti. There are 10 topics of Bhagavatam, right? Many of you know. That is, Atra Sargo Visargascha Sthanam Poshanamutayah Manvantaresha Nukatha Nirodho Muktirashrayah. Sarga, the creation done by the Lord. Visarga, creation done by Brahma and Prajapatis. So like that, there is one topic called Uti. Uti means inclination. The inclination can be of 2 types, auspicious and inauspicious. Auspicious inclination is in the case of Prahlad Maharaj, who is a pure devotee. He is inclined to perform bhakti unto Krishna. And inauspicious inclination is seen in the example of Hiranyakashipu, right? He is demoniac. So he is inclined to kill Lord Vishnu. He is inclined to kill Prahlad. There is inauspicious inclination. So 7th canto of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam describes this uti or inclination through the examples of Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad. So coming to Prahlad, Prabhupada writes in the purport, Prahlad Maharaj is the vivid example of perfection in Krishna consciousness. What made him so perfect? Now you see, there is this beautiful shloka from the 1st canto of Bhagavatam. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktiradhokshaje ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. Savai pumsam paro dharmo. The supreme dharma, the supreme duty of every living being is yato bhaktiradhokshaje, that which invokes pure devotion unto Lord Hari, Lord Adhokshaja, right? And that bhakti has to be performed in what way? Ahaituki and apratihata. Ahaituki means without any material motivations, without any selfish desires, without any personal agendas, right? That is ahaituki bhakti. Okay. Apratihata means without any breaks, without any interruptions, okay, without any inconsistencies or irregularities. When our bhakti is performed without any motivations and without any interruptions, naturally that kind of bhakti will satisfy the soul. Complete satisfaction of the soul is guaranteed when we perform bhakti with pure intent and consistent attempt. Advancement and satisfaction in devotional service are dependent on the purity of our intent and the consistency of our attempt. That is, purity of intent means ahaituki. Consistency in attempt means apratihata. Right? So we see Prahlad had the opportunity of receiving a bona fide Vaishnava Guru even before he took birth. Okay, even before he is born, he is a pure devotee. So he was within the womb of Mother Kayadu, and Narada Muni gave shelter to Kayadu in his ashram, and he was speaking some spiritual subject matters to Kayadu, and Kayadu was in great anxiety. She could not focus on the class. Right? She was thinking of 10 different things. She was thinking, when will my husband return? What will happen to my son? Already the devatas have attacked my son Prahlad. They wanted to kill him. So what will happen to him? So she was anxious about the safety of her son and husband. Therefore she could not focus on Narada Muni's instructions. So, but Prahlad did not have any anxieties in mind. Right? So he was totally absorbed in the class. Another important point, when we are too anxious on a material plane, we cannot focus on spiritual subject matters. Okay? When we are free from material anxieties, they are there. Material anxieties continue to exist. But we should prioritize spiritual activities, and absorption in spiritual activities will relieve us from material anxieties. And when we think less of material anxieties, then we can absorb more in spiritual subject matters. So Kayadu could not do that, but Prahlad was able to do that. He was within the womb, he was able to hear Harikatha from Lord Hari's great devotee Narada Muni. Okay? This is an example of apratihata bhakti. Apratihata bhakti means no inconsistency, no impediment, uninterrupted bhakti. So, ahaituki, apratihata, these two words can have multiple meanings. Let's take ahaituki. Ahaituki means no motivations in your performance of bhakti. Okay, that's clear. No motivations in performing bhakti. Ahaituki can also means causeless. Hetu means cause, ahaituki means causeless. So bhakti is causeless. Bhakti is causeless. What does that mean? There is no external cause for bhakti. Bhakti is the only cause of bhakti. Bhaktya sanjataya bhaktya. Okay. So what is the cause of bhakti in Prahlad? There is bhakti within the heart of Narada Muni. That bhakti inside the heart of Narada Muni is the cause of bhakti inside the heart of Prahlad. When I have devotion, I can inspire devotion in others. Right? When you have devotion, you can inspire devotion in others. If we ourselves don't have devotion, how can we inspire devotion in someone else? Right? Prahlad is a great devotee. That devotion is coming from Narada Muni, another great devotee, another pure devotee. Right? So ahaituki means causeless bhakti. Bhakti cannot be generated by some austerities. Bhakti cannot be generated by some kind of pious activities, rituals, etc., etc. Bhakti is originated from bhakti only, right? When a pure devotee has bhakti, he can give that bhakti to others, right? So ahaytuki means causeless. Ahaytu means unmotivated bhakti. It also means causeless bhakti. Then come to apratihata. Apratihata means consistent bhakti, uninterrupted bhakti. So there is no interruption in the flow of one's bhakti. Means there is consistency in our chanting, there is consistency in our reading of Bhagavatam and other bona fide Vaishnava scriptures. There is consistency in our services to Guru and Krishna and Vaishnavas. So that is consistency, right? So that is uninterrupted bhakti, that is apratihata. But apratihata can also mean something more. Apratihata means nothing can break the flow of bhakti. Maybe you can come little forward. There are some devotees coming from behind. So apratihata means the flow of bhakti cannot be interrupted by any material circumstances. Although Prahalad was a small child who is not yet born, still Prahalad had the bandwidth to get absorbed in bhakti. So no material circumstance can block bhakti. That's what apratihata means. Here Prahalad is the son of a demon. So his demoniac birth did not obstruct the flow of bhakti. Prahalad is a small child, not yet born. That also was not an impediment in his bhakti. So when the Guru is potent with a pure intent, and when the disciple is receptive, the flow of inspiration in bhakti is seamless. Right? So the flow of bhakti from a Guru to a disciple becomes very seamless to the degree the Guru is potent and the disciple is receptive. Right? Now we have Zoom calls. A person is speaking in the Zoom call, another person is hearing in the Zoom call. So you should have good Wi-Fi. Okay, when you are speaking, you should have good Wi-Fi, good signal. Okay, so then only your voice will be transmitted. And when you are hearing, you should have good signal, then only you can receive it. So the strength of signal matters, whether you are transmitting or receiving. So when the transmitter is in good range, and when the receiver is also in good range, then the communication happens very seamlessly. Similarly, when the Guru is potent and when the disciple is sincere, the transmission of inspiration in bhakti becomes seamless. Therefore, apratihata can also mean seamless. Ahaytuki apratihata means causeless and seamless, causeless and ceaseless bhakti, selfless and seamless bhakti. If you want to remember easily, causeless and ceaseless, selfless and seamless, unmotivated and uninterrupted bhakti. Okay, so Prahalad is an example of that. So when our bhakti is like this, without any motivations, without any interruptions, then complete satisfaction of the heart is guaranteed. That's what the last line says. Yayatma suprasidati, complete satisfaction. So when we are not deriving that satisfaction in bhakti, despite practicing bhakti for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 25 years, we should go back and check our motivations. We should go back and check our consistency, right? If my intent in chanting Hare Krishna is pure, if my intent in studying Śrīmad Bhāgavatam is pure, if my intent in serving the Lord is pure, satisfaction is guaranteed. How can Bhagavatam make a wrong statement? Bhagavatam cannot make a false statement, right? And if I am consistent in my bhakti, right, I am not being irregular or inconsistent in my bhakti, then satisfaction is guaranteed, right? So intent has to be pure, and apart from intention, we should also have intensity. Yesterday we were discussing this. Intention plus intensity, right? Ahaytuki and apratihata. Then suprasidati, complete satisfaction. So here is Prahalad Maharaj. He is totally absorbed in bhakti. Whether he is sitting or sleeping or eating or walking or dancing or whatever he is doing, he is completely Krishna conscious. That's what the shloka says. Asinaha paryatan ashnan shayanaha prapiban bruvan nanu sandhatu etani govinda parirambhitaha. Asinaha, while sitting, paryatan, while walking, ashnan, while eating, shayanam, while sleeping, then prapiban, while drinking, bruvan, while talking. 6 things, right? he is absorbed in bhakti, right? So one can be moment by moment Krishna conscious. Not that you keep on remembering Krishna only and you forget the activity that you are doing, right? So when you are living a life of Krishna consciousness, although you may not be remembering Krishna at that moment or moment by moment, you are Krishna conscious. Just like Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, in the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. What is that shloka? Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yudhyacha mayyarpita mano buddhir yomoy bhakta mame vaishyatya samshayah. So he said that tasmat sarveshu kaleshu means at all times, okay, mam anusmara, remember me, yudhyacha, and also perform your yuddha, right? How can you always remember Krishna and also perform your yuddha also? I think last year in our kids class, when I said this, Aradhya was asking this question. How I have so many exams, I have to study so much, children. So I have to study so much, how can I remember Krishna always? Yeah, that's understood. So Krishna said, Mam anusmara sarveshu kaleshu, always remember me, and yudhyacha. If Arjuna is always remembering Krishna, how can he fight in Kurukshetra war? Okay, so he is just releasing arrows on Karna and he remembers Krishna. And he just starts releasing on Yudhishthira Maharaj, right? Right? So he gets distracted, right? You are cooking for Krishna, you are cooking nicely for Krishna, and then you start remembering Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Then that is burnt. Right? Chapati will become coal, right? And you are boiling some water for rice, and the water will disappear because you are remembering Krishna. So always remember Krishna. That does not mean that we become spaced out in our activities. Yudhyacha, perform your yuddha with full commitment. For Arjuna, fighting in Kurukshetra war is his duty. For us, there is some other duty, right? So we may be teachers, we may be students, we may be carpenters, we may be doctors, we may be actors, we may be this, we may be that, we may be businessmen. So there may be so many different roles that we are playing, but we can be Krishna conscious provided our intention is to please Krishna. With a pure intent, we are trying to serve Krishna, but we are just doing the needful to survive in this material world. So activities for self-preservation will not put us out of the realm of pure Krishna consciousness. So when we are doing some activity for self-preservation, whether it is eating or sleeping or walking or drinking, whatever 6 items that are discussed here, asinaha, paryatan, ashnan, shayanaha, prapiban, bruvan. 6 activities are mentioned. They're like everybody has to do this. Walking, sitting, eating, this and that. So you can do that, but still you can be Krishna conscious. So walking, is it Krishna conscious? Yeah, you can walk. Because your heart is just dedicated to Krishna, whatever you are doing will become Krishna consciousness. Because you are doing it for self-preservation. There is this shloka from the Mukundamala Stotra. It says, Jihve kirtaya keshavam muraripum cheto bhaja Śrīdharam panidvandva samarchayachyuta katha Shrotradvayatvam shrunu Krishnam lokaya lochanadvaya harer Gacchangri yugmalayam Jighra ghrana mukunda pada tulasim Murdhanna madhokshajam. Jihve kirtaya. You have to use your tongue to speak something. Speak about Krishna. Jihve kirtaya. Keshavam muraripum cheto bhajaha. So you have to think of something. Think of Krishna. Think of Murari, think of Keshava, okay? That is Krishna consciousness. So utilize your tongue to chant the holy names of Krishna, chant the glories of Krishna, and also utilize your mind to think of Krishna. Cheto bhaja Śrīdharam panidvandva samarchaya. With your 2 hands, worship Krishna. Achyuta katha shrotradvayatvam shrunu. Hear the glories of Krishna with your 2 ears. Krishnam lokaya lochanadvaya harer. Use your 2 eyes to see the beautiful form of Radha Vallabh, right? Gacchangri yugmalayam. Go to the temple. Use your legs to walk towards the temple. Jighra ghrana mukunda pada tulasim. Use your nostrils to smell the tulasi leaves offered to the lotus feet of Krishna. And Jighra Ghrana Mukunda Pada Tulasim Murdhan Namadhokshajam. Offer obeisances with your head, bow down in front of Krishna. So like that, one can utilize all of the activities of one's senses in Krishna's service and become Krishna conscious and experience Govinda Parirambhitaha, experience the embrace of Krishna, right? So while performing Krishna consciousness, one of the greatest obstacles that comes on our way is the comments of people, right? People may have different other goals in life, and they think that we are drifting away from those goals by being Krishna conscious. Oh, we are saying Krishna, 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 Hare Krishna, always. What about this? What about that? There may be so many comments that we receive. And Prahlad also received those comments. So while doing all these 6 activities in relationship with Krishna, Prahlad received so many comments from his own father. Forget comments. He is being threatened to be killed by father, Hiranyakashipu. His gurus are criticizing him. Chittam naiva nivartate kshanamapi Sri Krishna pada bhujan nindantu priya bandhava gurujana grihnantu munchantu va durvadam parighosayantu manuja vamshe kalankostu va tadrik prema dharanu raga madhuna mattayamanam tume. So chittam naiva nivartate kshanamapi. Prahlad is a wonderful example of Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada says, last line of the statement, Prahlad Maharaj is the vivid example of perfection in Krishna consciousness, because whatever he is doing, he is thinking of Krishna, right? So, chittam naiva nivartate kshanavapi, let my mind not be deviated from the remembrance of Krishna even for a moment. Chittam naiva nivartate kshanamapi Sri Krishna pada bhujan nindantu priya bandhava gurujana grihnantu munchantu va. Means my gurujana, means my elders, whether it is guru or parents or whatever, or priya bandhava, my relatives, my friends, let them criticize me, no problem. Nindantu priya bandhava, ninda means criticizing. Gurujana grihnantu munchantu va, let them accept me or reject me, no problem, right? So Prahlad was being rejected by his father Hiranyakashipu, and he was being criticized and chastised by his gurus. Who are they? Shanda and Amarka. So grihnantu munchantu va, let them accept me, let them reject me, no problem. Durvadam parighoshayantu manuja vamshe kalankostu va. Durvadam means let people gossip about me. There is a lot of gossip in Hiranyakashipu's kingdom about Prahlad. Prahlad, he is chanting the names of Hari. We are chanting Hira, Hira, Hiranyakashipu, and then he is saying Hari, Hari. So what is this? He is the son of such a great demon, the king of demons Hiranyakashipu, and he is worshipping the enemy of Hiranyakashipu. So much of gossip about Prahlad in entire the kingdom of Hiranyakashipu, right? Durvadam parighoshayantu manuja, let them gossip about me. Vamshe kalankostu va. Some people are thinking, especially Chanda and Amarka were commenting on Prahlad, that you are a great defaming for our dynasty of demons. Our demoniac dynasty is like a sandalwood forest, and Vishnu is like an axe. Prahlad, you are like the handle of that axe. You are destroying our dynasty. Okay, you are destroying the great name, fame, and prestige of our dynasty by worshipping our enemy. Right? Vamshe kalankostu va. Vamsha kalanka means to bring a black mark on one's family. Right? As if he is coming from Surya Vamsha or Chandra Vamsha or something else. He is coming from Hiranyakashipu Vamsha. But they are saying that our family tradition is lost because you are saying Krishna, Krishna, Govinda, Govinda. Vamshe kalankostu va tadrak prema dharanu raga madhuna mattayamanam tume. Prema dharanu raga madhuna, because Prahlad is constantly experiencing the prema, the love of Krishna, the embrace of Govinda. You see, Govinda parirambhata means Prahlad is always thinking that although I am being thrown from mountain cliffs into this ocean, I feel that Govinda is hugging me. Okay, although I am thrown into fire, I feel like Govinda is hugging me. Although poison is given to me to drink, I feel like Govinda is embracing me. Although so many big elephants are utilized to just trample over me, I feel that Govinda is hugging me. Right? So Prahlad is perceiving that hug of Govinda. Govinda parirambhita, always. So that happens by smaranam. That happens by always remembering Krishna. So tadrak premadharanu raga madhuna mattayamanam tume. Mattayamanam tume means I am totally intoxicated with the remembrance of Lord Govinda, therefore I am not perceiving the material difficulties, right? So this is the greatest example set by the characters of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Bhāgavatam is that scripture that glorifies the pure devotional service to the highest possible extent, not only in its description of philosophy of bhakti, but also in showing so many examples of great personalities like Prahlad, Dhruva, Kunti, Pandavas, Chitraketu Maharaj, that Vritrasur, right? So many gopis of Vrindavan, the topmost examples. So this is Smaranam. All the gopis of Vrindavan, they are sitting in their homes and Krishna is wandering in the forests. But the gopis are constantly thinking of Krishna. Same thing, like what Prahlad is doing. Asinaha paryatan ashnan shayanaha prapiban brvan. While doing all these regular physical activities, he's thinking of Krishna, right? The gopis of Vrindavan also are doing the same. They were saying, what is that shloka by Sukadeva Goswami in the 10th canto of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. He says, Yado haneva hanane mathanoapalepa prinkankhanar bharudito ksanamarjanadau. Gayanti chaina manurakta dhiyo shrukanthyo dhanya vrajastriya urukramachittayanaha. Yadohane, while milking cows. Vahanane, while threshing grains. Okay. Mathana, while churning buttermilk. Upalepa, while taking a mixture of cow dung and clay and putting lep on their walls and doing some rangolis there, right? Mathanopalepa. Prenkankhana, while swinging on swings. Arbharudita, while taking care of their crying babies. Marjanadav, Ukshana Marjanadav, means they are sweeping the floors of Vrindavan and they are sprinkling that floors with water mixed with cow dung, like this, right? Have you seen? Our grandmothers do. So, not sure whether it's possible here. Sprinkling our courtyard with cow dung water, right? So, while doing all these basic regular activities that they do in their household, they're thinking of Krishna, right? Yado hane vahanane mathanopalepa prinkankhanar bharudito ksanamarjanadau gayanti chaina manurakta dhiyo shrukanthyo. While doing these trivial household activities, gayanti, they are singing chaina manurakta dhiyo, with their hearts completely immersed and drenched in love for Krishna. Anurakta dhiyo ashrukanthyo, they are having tears in their eyes out of love for Krishna. And not that they are burning the milk that they are boiling, okay? Not that they are spoiling the recipe that they are cooking. Not that they are, while sprinkling water in their courtyards, they are sprinkling on some gopas and gopis also. They are focused in their activity also, but they are doing everything for Krishna, right? So, Gayanti chainam anurakta dhiyoshrukanthyo dhanya vrajastriya urukramachittayanaha. Dhanya. The gopis of Vrindavan are the most fortunate people because urukramachittayanaha, their chitta, their mind is constantly hovering over the thoughts of Lord Urukrama, Krishna, right? So one can be Krishna conscious while doing perfectly well in their external duties. That's what is the example being set by Prahlad and gopis and many other personalities. All the great kings in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Prahlad, Yudhishthira Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, then Ambarish Maharaj. Ambarish is also similar shloka. Savai manaha Krishna padara vindayor vachamsi vaikuntha gunana varnane. So many things, how he utilized all his senses in Krishna service. So they are fulfilling the responsibilities of their material life, definitely. But while doing so, they are also being detached from the material enjoyment and they are attached to Krishna at heart. Do the needful on the material plane and try to focus on Krishna. That's what all these great personalities are teaching us, right? The gopis. And then there is no fear of material existence. The world is filled with materialism, but that world which is filled with materialism will not affect the inspiration of a devotee to the degree a devotee is absorbed in bhakti like this, right? So like we see Prahalad in his prayers, he says that Naivo dvije paraduratyaya vaitaranyah Tvadvirya gayana mahamritamagna chittaha Sochetato vimukhachetasa indriyartha Maya sukhaya bharamudvahato vimudhan. Here he is saying, Prahalad in his prayers, Naivo dvije paraduratyaya vaitaranyah. My dear Lord, I have absolutely no fear of material existence. Why? I am doing all this. Asinaha paryatan ashnan shayanaha prabhuvan brahvan. Whether I am eating or sleeping or walking or drinking or whatever I am doing, I am Govinda parirambhita. I am being embraced by you. And on top of it, what ensures Krishna, being Krishna conscious while doing all these 6 activities? Hearing. Right? Tadvirya gayana mahamrita magna chittaha. Chitta means mind. Magna means it is completely immersed. In where? Where is it immersed? Tadvirya gayana mahamrita. Tvad means your. Virya means prowess, your pastimes. Gayana means singing. Mahamrita means great nectar. Because my mind is completely immersed in the great nectar of the narration of your glories, I am not perceiving any material tribulations. I am not perceiving any material temptations. We can be unaffected by all the temptations and tribulations in the material world to the degree we absorb our minds in glorification of Krishna. You may think it's too far out. My God, Prahalad is like being Govinda parirambhata always, jihve kirtaya. It seems like very lofty. But at sadhaka level also, we can perceive that pleasure of Krishna consciousness. We can absorb ourselves in different elements of sadhana, and we can also experience Krishna's love. Anyone has here, like, you felt Krishna is merciful, right? Even in the practice level, right? You felt that Krishna is merciful upon me. Krishna is showering his blessings upon me. Krishna is definitely caring for me. So Prahalad is perceiving that care. Prabhupada is giving this example in the purport, that a small child being cared for by his parents doesn't experience any difficulty, right? So here, let me read that. A small child, while being cared for by his mother, does not know how the needs of the body for eating, sleeping, lying down, passing water, evacuation are being fulfilled. Right? He is simply satisfied to be in the lap of his mother. Similarly, Prahalad also is perceiving that motherly affection, fatherly affection from the Lord. Once, when Dhruva was insulted by Suruchi, he came running to Mother Suniti. And Suniti said, my dear Prahalad, don't hate her. Right? Although she has insulted you, you don't desire harm for her. Second, she said that, my dear Prahalad, please understand, whatever difficulties we face in our life are only results of our past misdeeds. She's not saying that, oh, Suruchi has done a misdeed now, tomorrow she will experience the problem. No. She is saying, we have done some misdeed in the past, now we are getting that reaction through Suruchi, not from Suruchi. Whenever we are experiencing some difficulty through somebody, like because of someone's activities, we should not misunderstand that, oh, this person is causing me trouble. No, we have caused our own trouble and this person is like an agent. Right? So he is like a postman, carefully delivering our quota of suffering to us. Right? My dear sir, take this. And you can start hating that person. Increase the karma. Increase the suffering. Right? So it is coming through them, not from them. Third point she said was, take shelter of Krishna. Whatever you want, you take shelter of Krishna. She says, I am just one mother, can give you affection of one mother only, but Krishna can give you the combined affection of millions of mothers put together. Can you just imagine how much affection that would be when you multiply the affection of a million mothers? right? Million mothers' affection is put together at one place. You can't, that's overwhelming affection. That's what Krishna can shower upon each and every one of us, provided we take to the path of bhakti seriously, right? So, ultimately it boils down to our absorption in hearing Harikatha. Let us sincerely hear the glories of Krishna. When we are hearing about Krishna from great devotees, bona fide devotees in the line of bona fide Guru Parampara, then that sincere hearing, sincere Sravanam will inspire us to love Krishna. Right? There is this beautiful prayer by Prithu Maharaj in the 4th canto of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. He says that, my dear Lord, I don't want mukti. I don't want heaven. I reject heaven. I don't want the happiness of enjoying in Svargaloka. And I don't even want this Brahmananda, the happiness of merging in this impersonal Brahmajyoti. Then what do you want? Sa uttama shloka mahanmukhachyuto bhavatpadam bhoja sudhakananilam smritim punarvismrta tattva vartmanam kuyoginam no vitaratyalam varaihi. Sa uttama shloka mahanmukhachyuto. When great devotees are glorifying Krishna, the love that they have for the Lord within their hearts is just coming from their mouths, right? The saffron dust particles of Krishna's lotus feet that they are carrying within their hearts are emanating from their mouths. And when those sound vibrations are entering our ear holes, you know what will happen? Smritim punar vismrta tattva vartmanam. So the conditioned souls in this material world are vismrta tattva vartmanam. Simple Sanskrit. Vartmana means they are wandering. Vismrta means they have forgotten. What they have forgotten? Tattva, their own tattva. What is the Jiva tattva? Jivera swarupahai Krishnera nitya das. They have forgotten their tattva of being das. So we have forgotten that we are servants of Krishna. We are wandering in this material world, forgetting our identity. We have identity crisis in this material world. When we hear from a pure devotee, we will be restored into our real identities as servants of Krishna. Smritim punar, we will again remember. Smritim punar vismrta tattva vartmanam. That's the meaning of this line. So when we hear from pure devotees repeatedly, then we will remember our original identities as servants of Krishna. Then this becomes very natural. This becomes a natural outcome of that sincere hearing. So we think that this Prahlad's example, Gopi's example is too far, not for us, not for us. If it is not for us, why they are mentioned in Bhagavatam and why we are asked to read Bhagavatam? They are for us only. Yes, it will take some time to reach that stage, but we can take our baby steps to reach that stage. And the first step is to hear Harikatha sincerely. How did Prahlad come to this level of Ashinaha, Paryatan Ashnan, Shayanaha, Prapiban Bruvan, Govinda Parirambhitaha? How did he come to that stage? He has heard sincerely from Narada Muni, even while within the womb of his mother. Right? Because of that sincere hearing from a sincere devotee, Prahlad Maharaj is equipped with the ability to constantly remember Krishna despite facing hundreds and thousands of difficulties on a material plane. So we need to be flying in an airplane of spiritual consciousness, flying in an airplane of spiritual intelligence. Then the problems in the material world seem very insignificant. When you're flying in an airplane, all the roads and buses and cars and rivers and even oceans, houses, skyscraper buildings, all of them look so insignificant, like small matchboxes, right? Small dots on the Google map, right? When you are flying in an airplane, right? But when you are walking on the road, one traffic signal comes and then you are stuck there. 5 minutes, 7 minutes, especially if it is Mumbai traffic or Bangalore traffic, okay? So here not much traffic is there, very good. So when traffic signal is there, you are stuck here on the road. But when you are flying in an airplane, no traffic red light on the road will stop you, right? You can just go. So we need to lift our mind, we need to lift our consciousness, we need to lift our intelligence to a spiritual plane. When you are flying in the spiritual airplane, okay, of spiritual consciousness, then the material difficulties of red lights cannot stop us. The problems look very insignificant, very small, very tiny. When we are there is a big truck in front of you, you are traveling in a small car, that seems a big obstacle. But when you are there in the air, that big truck will look like a small matchbox. It cannot stop you, right? So we need to hear Harikatha and we need to spiritualize our intelligence. We need to spiritualize our mind with that pure spiritual consciousness, spiritual intelligence. When we are traveling in a spiritual plane, the material problems will become insignificant. They exist. Not that they cease to exist, they continue to exist, but they don't affect us. They don't overwhelm us. Okay, that's what we can see from these examples of Prahlad and other Vaishnavas in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Then, because Prahlad has heard sincerely from Narada Muni, he developed that spiritual consciousness. Then he was able to see these greatest problems of death threats, constant death threats at the age of 5. So you just compare our problems with Prahlad's problems. Compare your problem, whatever financial problem, health problem, this problem, that problem, with Prahlad's problem. Yeah, we have to deal with it, definitely. Prahlad is being constantly threatened to be killed by his own father. So none of us have such a great problem. Compare our problems with the problems of Pandavas. Compare our problems with problems of Sita Devi in Ramayana, right? So our problems seem very insignificant. Therefore, we need to understand, by reading Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, hearing Śrīmad Bhāgavatam on a regular basis, we need to understand that several pure devotees also faced problems, faced so many tribulations, but they were unaffected because they were absorbing their minds in Harikatha. Iti nandada yogopaha Krishna Rama katham muda kurvanto ramamanascha navindam bhavavedanam. Nandada Yogopa, the Gopas headed by Nanda Maharaj, they were constantly absorbed in discussing about Krishna's pastimes. Krishna will kill, say, Arishtasur or Vyomasur or Vatsasur, Bakasur. All the Gopas will see Krishna killing these demons. They would come back to their homes, they will speak to their elders. My dear mother, I have seen Krishna killing this Bakasur in this way. My dear father, I have seen Krishna killing Vatsasur in this way. We all got kapita fruits. And all the elderly Gopas, they also start discussing about Krishna's activities. Navindam bhavavedanam. They did not experience any material tribulations, right? So we can save ourselves from all material temptations and material tribulations to the degree we hear Harikatha, to the degree we take pleasure in discussing Harikatha amongst other devotees. That's what devotees are meant to do. Macchitta madgata prana bodhayantaha parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Macchitta, devotees are completely absorbed in discussing about Harikatha. That's the root of Sravanam, root of Smaranam. They are on the level of Smaranam. How did they come to the level of Smaranam? Because they read Shravanam. So constant hearing, constant studying of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam will bring us to that level. To conclude, let us remember that shloka where Bhāgavatam promises right at the outset. Bhāgavatam is promising, I will relieve you from all tapatrayas. Dharma projita kaitavotra paramo nirmatsaranam satam vedyam vastavamatra vastu shivadam tapatrayonmulanam. Bhāgavatam promised right in the beginning, second shloka. After the invocation shloka, where the characteristics of the Supreme Lord are very nicely glorified in Janmadhyasyataha, then Bhāgavatam says that I will cause tapatraya unmulanam. I will relieve you from all the three tapatrayas. What does that mean? If you read Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, that does not mean mosquitoes will not bite you. That does not mean rain will not affect you. That does not mean cold winds will not affect you. You still have to wear mufflers and sweaters, right? That's fine. Bhāgavatam is tapatraya unmulanam. So what does that mean? It means that Bhāgavatam will equip our consciousness with the necessary maturity to see misery as mercy of Krishna. This is not misery. Krishna has arranged this misery for my purification. Krishna has mercifully arranged this misery for my purification. Okay? Probably if this misery is not there, I would not have taken bhakti seriously. So devotees have that spiritual vision. Devotees see all circumstances in life as God sent. So they will be able to see Krishna's hand behind all happenings in this world, and Bhāgavatam equips our consciousness with that ability to perceive Krishna's hand in all circumstances as Prahlad is perceiving. the Vrajavasis are perceiving, Ambarish is perceiving, and many other great personalities in Bhagavatam are perceiving. So, these are a few thoughts on this beautiful shloka and purport. So, I'll conclude here, 8:35. I think I went 5 minutes beyond time. Sorry for that. Thank you very much. Granthara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any questions or comments?
Mic is there.
Yes, Prabhu.
No, mic is there.
Oh, mic is there. I thought. No questions? Okay. Yes, Prabhu.
I think it will be okay. Okay. So, what I wanted to ask is that Krishna knows everything and he controls everything. So, why people, when they ask wrong things, why do they get those boons in the start? Why not there is a check in place that, okay, you're asking with wrong intention, you're not going to get this boon? Why there is that check is not in place? Because they do so much austerity with wrong intention and they get the boon and they lose
like
what they already have.
Boons
like
from Brahma.
Yes, Prabhuji. So he was determined already. He had the determination. He could have been a very great devotee with all that determination and everything. But instead of that, he got the boon with wrong intention and then he tried to use it against the Lord instead of using that boon in making more devotees and...
So why demoniac people get boons, right? In essence, why materialistic people become prosperous, to make it more generic. So the answer is that everybody has some free will, some minute independence. Without that minute independence, we are like machines. Okay? The Lord gives some independence to all the living beings. He is supremely independent as minute amshas of the Lord. Mama yuvamsho jivaloke. As minute amshas of the Lord, we also have some minute independence. Right? So if the Lord interferes with that independence, then we are machines and we are not living beings. So therefore, the Lord doesn't interfere with our independence. It's up to us how to utilize it. Someone wants to use that free will, that little independence to desire something which is beneficial. Sometimes people may use it to desire something which is harmful. Right? The father may give pocket money to the child. Say, okay, take this pocket money, take this $50, use it the way you want. And the child is utilizing it for good purposes. Oh, great. He's purchasing a nice bouquet and gifting it to the mother on her birthday. Wow! The child is using the pocket money for such a nice, loving activity. But if the father sees that the child is using this $50 to smoke cigarettes, then the father will cut down the pocket money, right? No more pocket money for you. You're wasting money. You're spoiling yourselves. You're ruining yourselves. Okay? Then the father will cut down the pocket money. Similarly, the Lord gives some independence to some living beings, and if they use it nicely, the Lord will increase that independence. If they misuse it, the Lord will decrease that independence. And that manifests in different life forms that the living beings take. In animal forms, reduced independence. Bird forms, reduced independence. Human form, more independence. Devatas, little more independence, like that. Okay? The Lord expands and contracts independence. Okay? So, depending on our own activities. Right? So, the Lord doesn't interfere with that. So, if someone is very keen to enjoy in a material plane, to utilize all the prosperity one has for wrong purposes, the Lord will not stop. The Lord will definitely give some intuition from within as Paramatma. Even bad people also get some kind of sound from within. Oh, it's bad, but still they are bent on doing that bad. The Lord says, okay, fine, do it. At your own risk. The Lord will just reciprocate with the adamant nature of that person. Okay? And in the case of this materialistic people, although they are apparently being prosperous because of their past good activities, now that they are misusing their independence, they will not become prosperous, they will not remain prosperous forever. Their prosperity will go down. Right? So now their current prosperity is a product of their past good. Because of their current good, they will get future problems. Right? That's nature. So that's the general answer. Coming to Hiranyakashipu's case, yeah, it's a part of the Lord's pastime. So Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha were Jaya and Vijaya, who were in the spiritual world, and the four Kumaras cursed them. They came down to this planet. They were bound to act in an envious way, in an angry way towards the Lord, troubled devotees, so that the Lord can come in different avatars like Varaha and Narasimha, kill them and experience fighting pleasure. So, in the case of Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, Ravana, Kumbhakarna, Shishupala, Dantavakra, they are Jaya and Vijaya. They are meant to give fighting pleasure to the Lord. It's a part of the pastime. At the same time, while this is happening, the Lord is also giving so many lessons to us. Through Ravana, He has given so many lessons. Through Hiranyakashipu, He has given so many lessons. One we discussed today. Although they exhibit so much of self-control to get the boons, once they receive the boons, they become victim of uncontrolled senses. Right? So, we can learn a lesson from it. So, the Lord does, in our engineering, and in our masters, we have one subject called linear and non-linear optimization. Okay. I forgot all of that now. But anyways, optimization means they give some conditions, minimize this, maximize this, to fulfill this need, something like that. So optimization means you are given so many conditions and you need to find the optimal solution with respect to all these conditions set. So the Lord solves a multi-constrained optimization problem, right? In one activity, the Lord can perform so many things. The Lord can reveal so many lessons. The Lord can fulfill the desires of so many devotees. The Lord can punish so many demons. The Lord can give so many lessons to all of us. He can do many things, right? So these are some thoughts based on what you asked. Yes, Mataji. Mike. Does it answer the question? Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for the class. You were giving the examples of pure devotees who can think always of Krishna. So is it just a lack of purity that we can't always think of Krishna while performing our duties? Or is it a limitation of our mind?
Is it?
A limitation of the human mind or our own mind?
Yeah, both are correct. Because when we are not fully pure, we cannot remember Krishna. It's lack of purity, definitely. But sometimes we may underestimate ourselves. Oh, I cannot do this, I cannot do this. No, we have the ability to do that. We have the potential to do it. Right? So, we need to invoke that potential by prayers, by doing our sadhana, by following the regimen given by the acharyas. So, we need to invoke that potential. Yes, it's both. We can purify our mind and allow Krishna to enter that mind. Is that what you are asking? Anything more? You want to clarify the question?
Just limitation of the mind. They can only think of what we're doing and we can't think of Krishna at the same time.
Yeah, mind, at this moment, you may find that the mind has only this much capacity. But actually speaking, every mind has unlimited capacity. Unlimited capacity. Within a second, the mind can just go to Svargalok. Mind is faster than the fastest airplane, right? So mind is very strong. Mind is very powerful. It's not a limitation of mind. It's basically the limitation imposed on mind because of our own lack of commitment to the path. So we can purify our mind by following the regimen given by the acharyas. Okay, let me tell you one small thing. In the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gives three things. Mayyeva mana adhatsva mayi buddhim niveshaya. Mayyeva mana adhatsva means constantly engage your mind in thinking of me. That is called smaranatmika bhakti, which is highest plane. Okay? If you can't do that, come to the second. Mayi buddhim niveshaya. Engage your intelligence in me. So engaging intelligence in Krishna means to understand Krishna as God by studying Shastra and planning for Krishna service, this and that. So if you can't always think of Krishna, if you can't always do Smaranatmika Bhakti, engage your intelligence in Krishna, that is called Mananatmika Bhakti. Right? So if you can't even do that, then do abhyasa rupa bhakti, engage your senses in Krishna's service, right? So, but Prabhupada has given as a regimen where we involve all three: mind, intelligence and senses. So, engaging senses in Krishna's service seems the easiest thing to do. Like we are asked to do some physical activity for serving Krishna, whether it is cooking or making garlands or cleaning the temple or some other physical activity in the service of the Lord. So that for 8 hours, for example, we can easily do it. But 8 hours of reading Bhagavatam, it becomes a little difficult. 8 hours of chanting, it's even more difficult, right? But actually speaking, when you're chanting, you're not doing much. You're not getting tired, okay, apparently, physically. But that seems to be the most difficult activity because you're engaging mind there in chanting. When you're reading scripture, you're engaging your intelligence there. When you're doing some physical service, we're engaging our senses, our body. So, out of all these three, Smaranatmika Bhakti, Mananatmika Bhakti, Abhyasarupa Bhakti, or Bhakti done on the mental level, Bhakti done on the intellectual level, Bhakti done on this bodily level, physical level. Of all these three, highest is Smaranatmika, mind, right? So it's very difficult. So it's very difficult for a average sadhaka to constantly absorb mind in Krishna consciousness, but that is not a reason for discouragement. To get discouraged, we try to engage ourselves in all three as much as possible, and by doing so, the limitations of the mind are kind of eliminated, and slowly we will discover the real capacity of mind to always think of Krishna. We have that potential to always think of Krishna, right? So just like a small child is there, like his thinking ability, his intellectual abilities are very poor, right? So as they grow, naturally their intelligence keeps growing. Their thought pattern becomes more refined, right? So, like that, we may be children in Krishna consciousness. As we practice Krishna consciousness more and more, our intellectual ability or mental ability will also keep increasing. As devotees advance, devotees spend more time, devotees become older. Physical capacity will just go low, but mental capacity, their absorption, their concentration is much higher. Right, so by just following the regimen given by the Acharyas, we will be able to tap that potential which is there within us innately. Makes sense, Mataji?
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Any other question, comment? Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, thank you for the class. Prabhuji, I just had a question. What checks can we use to know when self-preservation activities are, crossing over into false ego or over greed or over endeavor? Because in modern society, it's very hard to distinguish between wants and needs, and cost of living is just increasing exponentially.
So, my self-preservation, my attempts for self-preservation, are they too much? Are within limits? So basically, how much is too much, the individual has to evaluate. As you said, cost of living at some places is very high. For that, we need to earn more. Cost of living at some places is little less, so we can be satisfied with little. Okay, so there is no fixed formula for that. Right, this much only you have to earn. It depends on the time, place, circumstances, candidates, geographical locations where we are in. Right. So basically, what is recommended for devotees who are leading their household life and performing bhakti yoga is that they should earn whatever is required for their maintenance, plus they should earn more. Some surplus has to be there. Suddenly COVID can come, right? We can have some medical emergencies, some other health emergencies, right? We need to attend to those emergencies. For that, we should have some surplus. This is formula given by our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu only in Chaitanya Charitamrita. He told Vasudeva Datta that you should take care of the accounts of this devotee. Okay? Basically, if we spend everything that we are earning in Krishna consciousness only, when some physical emergency in regards to self-preservation comes, we may not be able to attend to it. So, definitely we need to earn whatever is required for our maintenance, the bare minimum part, plus we can also have some savings and some kind of extra surplus funds to attend to the emergency needs, right? And Rupa Goswami's formula is there: 50% for Krishna consciousness, 25% for personal emergencies, 25% for relatives and family. So how much effectively we may be able to apply these ideal standards depends on the individual, but these are some guidelines given. So to attend basic needs, we need some money plus some surplus to attend to emergencies. If it is too much, then we can always utilize that to serve Vaishnavas. Makes sense? Does it answer the question? How much is too much? Individual has to decide, right? Depending on where you are living and how many people are there at home and where is the home. Okay, all that matters. Any other question?
So all these priorities should be made how Krishna conscious we are, that will depend on that. Like if you are more Krishna conscious, you want to be Krishna conscious, then it will make lives more simple living and more time. Or if you go on like one thing you need to know is everything is temporary and going to leave behind you. So that philosophy should be very strongly put in. Then depending on that, to be more Krishna conscious, what circumstances will make you, then accordingly we'll do our priorities. So
Yes, thank you. Very good. Thank you. Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, thank you for the class. Prabhu, you spoke about Krishna having that Krishna consciousness throughout in doing whatever activity we are doing. And you also spoke a few verses from Mukunda Mala, and in one of the verses there, it also talks about
Comments by society.
No. So Kulashekar Alwar actually says that at the end of our life, at the end of my life, I might not be able to recite or take your name, so I'm chanting your names now. So apart from having that Krishna consciousness in our life as one of the lessons from that verse, is there more to it that we can learn?
Yeah, speaking about Krishna Tvadiya, that shloka, Pada Pankaja Panjaramte. Is it that?
Prabhu, it's that, the kapha.
Kaphavat, same thing. Prana Prayana Samaye Kapavasapte. So, there is this shloka in the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram yah prayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra samshayah. One who constantly remembers me, especially at the time of leaving body, will definitely reach me. To come to that stage, we need to do this. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmar yuddhicha. So that's mentioned. So, in connection with this, Krishna Tvadiya Pada Pankaja Panjaramte means, my dear Lord, I may not be able to remember you at that time where my, when I am on the deathbed, where I am unable to focus on your holy name. I may not reach you because of not being able to remember you. Better you take me now itself. There is a prayer like that. And even in Isopanishad also, one of the mantras say that, my dear Lord, please remember all the services that I have done to you throughout my life. You remember and remind me about you so that I can reach you at the time of death. So there is a prayer like that. So Prabhupada simply says, one more thing, these shlokas are quoted in each other's purports also. Isopanishad shloka, Bhagavad Gita shloka, and Mukundamala Stotra shloka also. Mukundamala Stotra, if you see the purport, I think Bhagavad Gita is referred to there, if I recollect exactly. So, Prabhupada says, a devotee need not remind the Lord like this. Okay, out of humility, sometimes devotees may say, I may not be able to remember you at the time of death. Out of humility they are saying that. Even in the 5th canto of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, there are some priests who were conducting the sacrifice of King Nabhi. They also said, my dear Lord, please allow us to remember you at the time of our death, otherwise we will end up somewhere else. Right? Yam yam vapi smaran bhavan, that will happen. We'll become deers or something like that. Okay? So, a devotee out of humility may remind the Lord to remember our services. Out of humility, the devotee may think that I may not be able to remember you at the time of death. But Prabhupada says that devotee need not remind the Lord. The Lord will anyways remember. First point, he will never forget. We may forget, he will not forget. And he will give us remembrance also. So, if we are sincere in our practice of bhakti throughout our life, Krishna will create a situation around us where we will be forced to remember him. Okay, when devotees are just passing away, there are so many devotees surrounding the devotees chanting Hare Krishna loudly. So Krishna will ensure that we remember him at the time of death and reach him. But if some sadhana is pending, some purification is pending, Krishna will at least give us an opportunity to continue our bhakti in the next lifetime. That much is guaranteed in the case of a devotee. So they will be able to remember Krishna at the time of death, and for some reason if they are unable to, Krishna will arrange for that remembrance of Krishna at the time of death, or at least Krishna will give them another life where they continue the practice of bhakti. Okay? So all this, we should have that confidence and trust in Krishna's intention and Krishna's ability to protect us, to save us. Make sense? Thank you. Shall we conclude here? One more question. I don't know how much time we have. Yes, Balwan Prabhu. 2-3 questions.
Yeah, exactly. I had the same question as.
So, in the interest of time, are you also able to recite that Krishna Tvadiya?
Krishna Tvadiya Pada Pankaja Panjaramte Adyaiva me Vishatu Manasa Raja Hamsa Prana Prayana Samaye Kafapata Pittaihi Kantavarodhana Vidhau Shravanau Kutaste Smaranau Kutaste. Okay, thank you.
Prabhu, thank you so much, Prabhu. Just one final question is, your class was very inspiring, especially the way you recite the shlokas. The way you recite the shlokas is very inspiring. And as preachers, how do we imbibe this? How did you actually get into this? If you can just share a couple of minutes. How did you start practicing shlokas in reciting in this meter? How did you develop the love for shlokas? If you can just shower your thoughts, then what happens as preachers, we will be able to pick it up. We know some shlokas, we are able to tell, but that meter and the, it's amazing, very inspiring.
No, bro. So, more than remembering the shloka, reciting the shloka, understanding the meaning of the shloka and applying it in our life is more important. Okay, first point. As far as remembering the shloka and reciting is concerned, that could happen because of the past culture, upbringing. In our childhood, like I have seen our elders, especially my father and some pujaris in the temple that we are living close to. So they were reciting all this Bhagavad Gita, Vishnu Sahasranam, Mantra Pushpam, then there is Purusha Suktam, Shri Suktam. So I grew up hearing all that. In our school there is a compulsory recitation session. Every day morning 45 minutes there is Gita recitation. Okay, and Vishnu Sahasranam recitation, there is this Mantra Pushpam, Rudra Namakam Jamakam, all these are there. Purusha Suktam recitation. So we grew up hearing that, but I never knew the meaning till I came to ISKCON, opened Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. So we have recited Bhagavad Gita several times as children, but we hardly knew any meanings. Now these children know the meanings of so many shlokas very nicely because they are living a life of Krishna consciousness right from beginning because of their parents. So as far as remembering is concerned, I didn't have a specific practice for myself. I would always say this only: you need to love the shloka either for its meaning or for its melody, meter. Some shlokas are very rhyming, very beautiful. Tadeva ramyam ruchiram navam navam tadeva shashvan manaso mahotsavam. So like that they are very nicely sounding. So Bhagavatam shlokas are Shrotra mano bhiramat. Means Shrotra means ears, Mana means heart, Abhiramat means they are enchanting. Bhagavatam shlokas are enchanting to the ears with their sound. Bhagavatam shlokas are enchanting to the heart with their meaning. So when you fall in love with the meaning or the sound of a shloka, it will enter your memory. Fall in love with the meaning or the meter of the shloka, they will make their ways into your memory. So because when you love the shloka for its meaning, some shlokas are very meaningful. They have profound meaning. Not all shlokas have meaning, very profound meaning, but some shlokas with their meaning, they really touch you. When you're reading Bhagavad Gita and reading Bhagavatam, some statement that Prabhupada makes, or some shloka that Sukadeva Goswami says, it just really pierces you, right? At our current level of realization, with our current purity of consciousness, we found that this shloka is most relatable to us. So as soon as you find a relatable shloka like that, you naturally tend to repeatedly recite it. It goes into the memory, right? And there are many, many more keys we can discuss in our weekend sessions. There are many more ways of reciting and remembering shlokas, but these are first thing. Fall in love with the shloka either for its meter or for meaning. It will enter your memory. Okay, thank you. Yes, Prabhu.
Can you differentiate between the meanings of tapasya, austerity and penance?
I don't know, the English words are there, you can see the dictionary exactly. Basically, austerity means the voluntarily accepting some inconvenience upon oneself to attain a higher purpose. That's what tapasya is. Sometimes it's translated as austerity, sometimes penance. I don't know the technical difference in terms of English words. But tapasya, the Sanskrit word, basically means doing something that may be inconvenient to you, but you are aspiring for a higher purpose. Okay, we'll conclude here. Thank you. It's 9 o'clock exactly. Thank you very much. Granthara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Bol. You got it?